always fighting with your spouse, always having to apologize later for saying stupid things that hurt your spouse. In today's video, I'm going to share a principle with you that will radically change the way you communicate with your spouse. The principle of always and never. Confused yet? Stay tuned. Hey, my name is JR and welcome to My Marriage is Worth It, where we bring hope and joy to dead, dying, and boring marriages. If that sounds like you or something you can benefit from, go ahead and click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified every time we post a video just like this. And hey, post in the comments below, I subscribed and I will personally reply to your comment. Today, we're talking about talking in your relationship. You know, a lot of well-meaning counselors and relationship books will say to never use the words always and never. And for good reason, too. You know how it goes. She says, "You always treat me this way."
You always treat me this way.
And he says, "You never give me any credit."
You never give me any credit.
The fact is, those words are rarely true, and all they do is provoke the argument further. So it's a good principle to try and not use those words. But today, we're not talking about that principle. We're talking about something completely different. The principle of always and never. You see, there is one always and one never. I want you to always remember and never forget. When having an argument with your spouse, always think about what you're going to say before you say it, and never say anything you're going to regret later. You see, we usually don't think too much when we're in the middle of an argument because we're being ruled by our emotion. The Bible says, "Be quick to listen and slow to speak." The first part of the principle of always and never is to always think about what you're going to say before you say it. I can't tell you how many times I'll be fighting with my wife. She'll say something.
You said you were going to do it, but you didn't.
And then I'll say something.
I only said I was thinking about doing it.
And next thing you know, I'm defending something and I don't even know why I said what I said.
Wait, why did I even say that?
So thinking about what you're going to say before you say it will greatly improve the health of your relationship. Not to mention, it eliminates the need to apologize later, which leads to the next part of the principle of always and never. Never say anything you're going to regret later. Now, on the surface, this might sound just like always, but it's not. It's different. So let's use the example of something not being true.
You didn't do it because you went out with your friends after work. Shelly seen you at the sports bar.
Your spouse said something to you, and as they're talking, you know, you're like, this is not true. What they're saying is not true. So you're thinking about what you're going to say, and you say, you know what?
That is a lie. You are lying. You are a liar.
And you know what? You're going to regret saying that later. So you think about what you're going to say, and then you don't say something you're going to regret later. So in the example of something not being true, you're thinking, you know, what they're saying is not true. So how do I say this in a way that is going to honor them, honor our relationship, and honor the truth?
Okay, I understand that's what Shelly told you, but can I share some other information with you? I was at the restaurant connected to the sports bar, the one that you like so much. I was setting up reservations for us this weekend. And it hurts me that you jumped to conclusions and believed all that without knowing the entire truth.
And you see, when you do that, you're able to address the situation, you're able to address the issue, you're thinking about it, but then you're not saying anything that you're going to regret later. So the principle of always thinking about what you're going to say before you say it and never saying anything you're going to regret later might sound simple on the surface, but when you're in the heat of the battle, it can become a lot harder. So I want to give you a few questions that you can ask yourself when you find yourself on the battleground so that you can find some common ground. So I want to encourage you, write these questions down, put them in your purse, put them in your wallet, or type them in your phone. Here are the questions you can ask to make sure that you always think about what you're going to say before you say it. Is what I'm going to say going to help or hurt the situation? Is what I'm going to say going to help or hurt my spouse? Is what I'm saying going to lift up? Is it going to build up? Is it going to encourage, or is it going to tear down? Is it going to cause more division in our relationship? Is it uplifting or is it destructive? And most importantly, Will I regret saying this later? So let me ask you a few questions. Is what you're going to say, does it tear down? You're going to regret it later. Is it just to get back at your spouse? Is it something that's going to hurt the other person? You're going to regret it later. Is it an exaggeration of the fact? Or worse yet, an outright lie? You will definitely regret that later. And remember, when you're in the middle of an argument with your spouse, you're showing who you are at your core. You're showing who you are under fire. You're revealing your character to your spouse. And what kind of person do you want your spouse to see you as? And listen, the health of your marriage is much more important than winning a stupid argument. And ask yourself this question: is winning this argument so important it's worth hurting or losing my spouse? We usually don't ask ourselves those types of questions when we're in the midst of an argument because we're in the heat of the moment. But when you take a moment to think about what you're going to say before you say it, you've already begun the process of healing and restoration. And hey, isn't that what we really want anyway? Not to win over our spouse, but to win our spouse over. So make the principle of always and never something you always remember and never forget. Okay, so now it's your turn. Go ahead and post in the comments below which one you're going to use this week. Always thinking about what you say before you say it, or never saying anything you're going to regret later. If you want to know more or learn how to apply these principles to your marriage, there are more videos and resources in the description below. Until next time, my marriage is worth it. Is yours?